Well, I, for one, can't wait to see what's next happening over with Quincy. You told us last week, too, that, well, I guess there was breaking news that I had to read about because I thought we were friends and you would tell me stuff, but sometimes you don't, and that's fine. So I got surprised, like everybody else, that you're a part of Acclaim now. And Acclaim made one of my favorite video games of all time, NBA Jam. I actually have that arcade game and have for over a dozen years. Big fan of NBA Jam. And I can't wait to hear more about Acclaim, but I do want to ask you about an NBA thing that I think has some wrestling relevance.
Oh,
I don't know that anybody else has talked about this, but I feel like you might be uniquely qualified to talk about it. There's been a huge controversy this year in the NBA about LeBron James' son, Bronny James, going into the league. And there's been a lot of criticism saying, oh, he doesn't deserve it. I've seen, his stats compared to other players who were drafted around him. It doesn't feel like it was a crazy out of place draft pick. But because of the association with his dad, boy, there is a lot more pressure and a much bigger spotlight. And we hear of that often with second generation wrestlers. And the critics are always out there for second generation wrestlers. I'll never forget when Charlotte Flair was first on the scene, there was tons of criticism with people saying, oh, she's only there because of her last name. She doesn't deserve this opportunity. She went through the exact same thing that Bronny James is going through right now. Well, eventually, this past week, LeBron James had enough, and he confronted maybe one of the biggest talking heads, Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. Smith went and explained to the world what happened. And I guess the gist of the message was stop effing with my son. So these guys have been friendly for a long, long time. That is no longer the case. LeBron is upset with Stephen A. as a critic of basketball and just an ESPN talking head, if you will. But you've seen this in wrestling, even back in the Memphis days. Daddy said sell. Tell me a little bit about how you received that and how you saw it, and are there any similarities to professional wrestling you can speak on?
oh, the second generation. I mean, gosh, Conrad, we could go on and on about how many there are now, but I've observed multiple times one side of it, and I lived another side of it. And, maybe at the end of the day, I would not, I literally, and it was some tough times, I wouldn't change my old man's attitude and how he parented me and treated me, because that sounds rough, but how his mindset on his son getting into the business, and he went a 180 from how Nick Goulas treated George Goulas. And I wouldn't trade it for the world, but I think at the end of the day, we all got to deal with our own life's experiences. And I've read a lot about this, Conrad, and you kind of look at different, there's all kinds of analogies, but, LeBron didn't have a father growing up. So what is he's doing the best he can do. Although I'm not sure, and this is just my opinion, and I'll try to stay on my side of the street, if you will, but if I'm Bronny James or I'm Bronny James's buddies and I'm watching my dad get into it with Stephen A. Smith about stuff, I think Bronny wants to crawl in a hole. At the end of the day, we all got to make it on our own, and the doors that LeBron can open, whether it's the G League or whatever it may be. But man, he has really opened himself up. Now, does LeBron care? Hell no. He's been in the league. He's still at the top of his game. He is, he's more than my man Satnam Singh. He's more than one of the billion. Just the talent and the longevity and everything goes with it. So if he wants to do it, more power to him. Although I wonder how many conversations he's had with Bronny about this, in that wouldn't he be better off just to leave it alone? I feel bad for Bronny. I do. And look, I may be completely off all this as well, but it's Stephen A. Smith is doing his job, period. Colin Cowherd is doing his job. He has a great take on it as well. All the critics, if you will. That's why Stephen A just signed a $100 million deal. He's supposed to be opinionated. And I take LeBron getting on Stephen A is getting way out of bounds. It's Stephen A and every other broadcaster's job to report on what they see. They're literally just like Dave Meltzer. He is doing his job. Now, is he telling the truth? It's irrelevant. Is he, trying to kind of create a different narrative? And I'm not saying just Meltzer. I'm just saying that's what they do. That is what they're paid to do. As long as they're talking about LeBron should just keep playing basketball. And when you kind of study, because there's always the comparisons about Jordan, and that was one of the articles I read. Michael Jordan's father, obviously, and mother, Jordan, and how he treated others in the press, in business, in all of that. Yes, it's a different era, different age, but there's, if you want to compare the two and how they carry their lives, man, there is really no comparison. I just thought it was a bad look all the way around, but LeBron don't care, obviously, but I thought it was a bad look all the way around for LeBron, the Lakers, and Bronny. It's unfortunate. That's just my opinion. And like they say, everybody's got an opinion, like everybody's got a, what? So it is what it is. But man, it's made headlines. And as we know, Conrad, the more LeBron fights it, the more press is going to come out of it. And that's where there will come a day when LeBron ain't playing ball and Bronny may still try to play ball. That's when it's really going to be tough, because my old man knew that day one. There's going to be a lot more times when I'm not around, and you better be able to survive. And that's his mindset. So I'm going to make sure I make it as hard as I possibly can on you while I'm around. So when I'm not around, hopefully you'll have a skill set to survive.
Well, I appreciate your mentality and your thought process on, just the whole second generation thing, because you've seen it, you've lived it, you've watched it in wrestling, out of wrestling. And I know you're a basketball junkie, so I knew you would have an opinion. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what adfreeshows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-free shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that adfreeshows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. adfreeshows.com.